Lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you for being able to battle your way through the wasteland snow and the unseasonable spring that we're enjoying and join us today. I'm Zara High-Peters, Chief Executive of British Triathlon, and today we're taking the opportunity to introduce the leadership of our performance team going forward. On the far side of the table here we have Johnny Ryle. Johnny is leading our para-triathlon programme. A number of you may be aware that para-triathlon has now become a Paralympic sport, and we're preparing for Rio in 2016 and are now recipients of UK Sport world-class funding support for that. In the middle we have Brendan Purcell, our performance director, who I'll come back to in a second, and next to Brendan we have Emma Deakin, who is our sports medicine lead, looking after our main support services for our elite teams going forward. Brendan, most recently appointed, started with us January 28th.
Yes.
We originally advertised the performance director role last summer prior to the Olympic Games with a hope of attracting people in the post-Olympic scenario who might see the opportunities that triathlon and para-triathlon could offer. And we had a good and healthy response. We closed that in September, and a two-stage recruitment process which looked at people from a number of countries and sports. And our final selection decision was made in November when we offered Brendan, who came to us from canoeing, where he was head coach of a successful Olympic medal winning programme. And he brings with us not only the sea-touch feel of Olympic medal success, but also a passion for performance and the will, potential and the hope of leading our programme to even greater success and consolidation both in the elite and in the para-triathlon streams. And Brendan's appointment was also accompanied by the announcement of Ben Bright as the head coach, who will lead on the technical side of the programme and work closely in partnership with Brendan. So, welcome team.
So just going to do a few rapid fire questions. There's a few people that unfortunately couldn't make it today and want a little video and quick answers, and then we'll hand over to the one-on-ones. So Brendan, we really don't know much about you. Tell us a little bit quickly.
Very quickly, obviously I am Australian, and more importantly I'm a Queenslander. Must remember that bit. As an athlete, my background is surf life saving, and then I was a canoe athlete representing Australia at World Championship level. I also graduated and practiced as a physiotherapist for nearly 7 years, and then started coaching in the institute system in Australia from 1999, and then had the opportunity to move into the UK sports system at the start of 2007, and have been living in the UK ever since.
So why triathlon and why Great Britain when there's snow on the ground?
Well, obviously Great Britain because of the weather, no doubt about that. Why would I want sunshine and the beach? More importantly, I think one of the things I've learned over the last few years, and the reason I stayed after 6 years in the UK was, I think there's been a real sea change in Great Britain sport. I would suggest my experience both in the Australian system and the system here is that there are a lot of people now in this country who challenge daily accepted wisdom or current wisdom, and that's something that you need to do, not just at a coach level or an athlete level, at an administrator or management level. And that's the thing I think the UK sport and Team GB and the sports in this country are really doing well, and consequently, you know, we are now starting to lead the world, as we saw from our Olympic Games experience, from all sports. And that's something that I actually aspire to be part of. It's very different to what I think is currently happening in Australia, and you know, I think it's a positive thing that UK has, and it's something we can continue to push and ride the wave.
Great. So performance director, what does that role mean in a nutshell?
It's a role for me that swings from support to facilitation to direction. Basically, for me, the fundamental unit of a performance program is the coach and athlete, and I see the role that I have is to support the environment creation around that coach athlete, from support staff to management to logistics, that allows performance to actually be the primary focus for those people. And you know, at the moment we've got some very good athletes, and we need to continue supporting them and their environment to continue to succeed. But we have some very talented athletes, and it's about nurturing those athletes to move forward.
Great. So your role covers triathlon and para-triathlon. Just tell us a little bit about that.
For me, it's very exciting that we've actually got 2 Olympic disciplines in this sport now, with para-triathlon with Johnny, and obviously, you know, if Ben Bright could be here today, Ben would be sitting with us as well. And I see them as the technical leads, the technical directors of their programs, and I'm working with them, I suppose, to create a bit more of a helicopter view so that they can have the technical influence and I can support that technical delivery on the ground. It's just exciting because we're going to go to the Olympic Games in 2016 and we'll have medal opportunities in the Olympic, and we'll also have medal opportunities in Paralympic, and that offers, I suppose, opportunities for athletes across the spectrum, whether they be Olympic or Paralympic athletes.
And Johnny, you announcing your new 2013 para-triathlon squad today. Just briefly tell us a little bit about that squad.
Yeah, it's the first time we've had a UK sport-funded programme. We'll be announcing 13 athletes, a number of guides who will support some of our visually impaired athletes as well as that. On that 13, we've got 4 of the 5 world champions that we had in Auckland. We're also launching a talent programme which has been supported through Triathlon England and Sport England, which we've seen a number of very talented athletes coming through from other sports who want to pursue a future within this Paralympic discipline.
So the targets for 2013 for triathlon and para-triathlon, what should we be looking out for?
The triathlon one as well. That's brilliant. Within para-triathlon, it's we came back from the World Champs with 5 gold medals, 5 world champions. Classification system that we have for London is slightly adapted, so we have a few more medal opportunities than we actually had in Auckland. We have 14 and not 12. So theoretically, we would want to hold that position, if not grow it slightly. So 5 to 6, I think, would be a reasonable aim. And
that would make us the top para-triathlon country in the world?
For the 4th year running, yes, yeah. So in Auckland, we were closely sort of in pursuit by USA, but they won 3 gold medals, we won 5.
Great. And Brendan, the same question as targets for 2013 for triathlon?
Yeah, and I'd just like to add to the para-triathlon one thing, for us to continue to build on what Johnny's trying to achieve. I think this year a clear objective for us as a performance program is to look at where integration can support that development further. What can we learn from the Olympic program and transfer into the Paralympic program, and vice versa. What is the Paralympic program using that can actually maybe enhance or challenge the Olympic program to step up? And that's a key objective across both disciplines. And because I know Johnny is absolutely on the ball with what he's doing, but there's always things that we can learn and share. In relation to the objectives for the triathlon program, the Olympic program this year, I mean, the grand final in London will be our benchmark event. We're looking to obviously really have a lot of depth in our under 23 and junior athletes, people starting to convert those sort of potential that we see on the training track into actually results that are starting to challenge into the top half of the field or the top 10 of the field. That's what we're really looking for. And I mean, it will be an absolutely amazing for both disciplines to be back in London and racing a year after the Olympic Games, which hopefully will bring some very good memories for everyone. Rio qualification doesn't start until next year, so a real sort of theme for this next sort of 15, 18 months from myself and Ben's perspective is that we actually look at how we develop and expose athletes. We want athletes to continue to get greater racing experience, challenge potentially some of their race tactics, and so we use that as an education to actually build skill level and build experience levels. And we're also, sort of really trying to get more of a focus behind the mixed relay teams. We're really supportive of that, as a bid to become an Olympic event in Rio, and we'll be working towards the World Championships, where hopefully we'll be going for 3 in a row with the relay team.
That'd be great. So, new performance director, what changes do you think you'll be looking to make, if any?
I mean, coming into the role, my primary thing was to probably harness what was there currently, the momentum. There was a real momentum build, for the last sort of 15, 18 months into the Games, and it's trying to harness that. As well as there's some really very good best practice in coaching delivery, athlete thought process, athlete training, and how do we use that and how do we build on that? So changes, not too many, but just building on what's currently there. We are actually looking at some of our support staff, so some people who are part of the team, we're looking at enhancing their roles. So Emma here on my left will now take more of a strategic lead on the medical side. We're also looking at our S&C coach Ian Piper to start supporting performance science across the Olympic and Paralympic program. And we're also bringing in a new psychologist to work with the team, Neville Warnke, to help in that performance planning around psych and where the gains can come. One of the things we've already done, which hasn't been something on a regular basis in the past, we brought the whole Olympic squad of athletes, coaches, support staff. We had 30 people together 2 Fridays ago, where we actually got together and just talked about, what are we about as a group? How do we want to work together? And that was quite a powerful day. A lot of the athletes and coaches walked out of there and could see how Ben and I were going to support them to do their job on a daily basis of looking for performance gains.
Great. So Emma, you're part of that support team. Just tell us a little bit about your role and its changes.
Yeah, so my role previously was the lead physio within Great Britain Triathlon. So I look after all our podium and development athletes, look after their programme planning, and obviously when they get any injuries, looking at the medical management programme for that. And it's just changing a little bit, like Brenda says, just to be a bit more looking at overall strategic planning and policies and procedures that we've got in place along triathlon and para-triathlon, just to make sure that there's a benchmarking best practice and there's a continuity between what's happening in the Olympic programme and the Paralympic programme, and just really standardising care and making sure there's best practice in all areas really.
And you still spend a significant amount of time up in Leeds, I assume?
I do, yeah, 3 or 4 days up in Leeds with the programme athletes up there, and then a couple of days in Loughborough, and then I also travel to our other regions as well.
And then I was going to ask how the brownies are.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, good. Alistair obviously had a little bit more time off after the games, and Johnny carried on through to the World Champs and then had a little bit of time off after that. Since then, they've both had really solid winters, both good training throughout the winter period. They're just out in Spain. They went yesterday just to get a little bit more warm weather training in, so I'm going out to join them on Sunday. But both training really well at the minute, yeah.
Good. And the rest of the Leeds and the Loughborough groups are going very well at the moment?
Yeah, really well, I think, across all our regions. We've had some, like Brendan said, looking at the strength and depth of the team, we've had some really good performances from the junior and under-23 athletes, both in Leeds and Loughborough, just really strengthening what they've done last season and showing that the winter block and winter training has really progressed them forwards onto that next level, so it'll be good to see what they do this season.
Great, yeah. Has anyone got any questions?